This story right here, it really doesn't have anything to do with sports, but since it does tie directly to the content of the channel, which is calling out dumbass social justice warriors, I figured that it was Joel Anderson's turn to learn a lesson in logical thinking. We do not discriminate here on the channel. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, old, young, man, woman, gay, straight, transgender, bisexual, non binary. I don't give a shit about any of that. If you're woke, if you're a social justice warrior, you're a loser. It's as simple as that. If you're black and you're woke, you suck just as bad as if you were white and woke. The color of your skin is irrelevant. It's your mentality, the way you think. That is the problem. I have zero in common with your beliefs. I enjoy my life. I have fun. You're miserable. I believe that the majority of people don't care about race. You think race is a factor in everything. It takes a lot to offend me, takes a lot to hurt my feelings. You get offended by the color of snow. Most likely, you guys have never heard of Joel Anderson. I had never heard of him until Outkick brought this story to my attention. Joel Anderson is your typical SJW. He previously worked at ESPN, where, according to his bio, he covered politics. Hmm. A political reporter at a sports network. Perhaps the P in ESPN has changed from programming to politics. Entertainment, sports, political network. The path ESPN has taken over the last few years, that name would make sense. Joel Anderson is also a podcaster. He is the co host of the Hang Up and Listen podcasts. Me personally, I'll pass on the listen, but I'll take you up on the hang up part. His primary job is being a staff writer at Slate. Now, if you have never read anything on Slate before, consider yourself lucky. Slate is garbage. You would be better off getting your news from The Onion than believing anything that you read on Slate. It is literally shit. It's trash. If you check out the content Joel Anderson writes for Slate, you will quickly come to the conclusion that this guy's a miserable asshole. One of his recent articles was about the NWSL and how it's dominated by toxic masculinity. Yeah, yeah, a league full of women dominated by toxic masculinity. Perhaps some of the women in the NWSL are actually transgender men. Otherwise, I don't know how the hell a league comprised of 100% women can have toxic masculinity. Over the weekend, Joel Anderson took it upon himself to educate us dumb white people on racism. You know, because us dumb white people, we just don't understand what constitutes racism. Now, I was being sarcastic there, but seriously, that statement is not far from the truth. Every word in the English language has been considered racist, homophobic, or misogynistic at some point in the last 2 years. Now we can add the term woke to the list of words that offend social justice warriors like Joel Anderson. Yeah, if you say woke and you're white, it's racist. Now, if you're black and you use the term woke, that's perfectly acceptable. Woke is only racist if you're white. Are you following the logic so far? Yeah, me either. According to Joel Anderson, if you are not black and you started using the term woke after 2018, he thinks that it's considered a racial slur. Now, luckily for the rest of us, no one gives a shit what Joel Anderson thinks. Let's go ahead and bust through this example of mythical racism. Go check the archives of this channel. In many cases, when I'm talking about someone who's woke, they're white. Max Kellerman, Keith Olbermann, Rachel Nichols, Megan Rapinoe, Sue Bird, Katie Nolan, Howard Stern, the entire NWSL, MSNBC, full of woke white people, CNN, same thing, ESPN. If you're white and you want to work at ESPN, it is a requirement to acknowledge your white privilege. You must atone for your blatant whiteness. I will never apologize for being white, and I damn sure won't apologize for my white privilege. The only privilege I had was having two great parents who paid for my education, gave me anything I needed, and taught me how not to be a dumbass. That was the extent of my privilege. If you didn't have the same privilege, that's your problem, not mine. Joel Anderson then sent a veiled threat to anyone white who uses the term woke. He said if you use that term, it doesn't mean he's going to do something to you, but it also doesn't mean he won't. Okay, that's interesting. Joel Anderson, resident tough guy, doing what all social justice warriors do, threatening people on Twitter. Last summer, he claimed that white people stole the words woke and cancel from black people. Really? Man, I know of white people who have stolen things before, money, land, cars, but words? Is it even possible to steal words? How does that work? If we're going off that logic, did black people steal phones? Pretty sure the smartphone was invented by a white guy. When black people use Facebook, are they stealing it? Last I checked, Mark Zuckerberg was a white dude. When Joel Anderson gets on an airplane to fly to his next social justice protest, is he stealing that plane? Now, I wasn't alive back then, but from what I can tell, the Wright brothers were white brothers. What about when minorities call white women Karen? Is that racist? I want to understand the logic here. Using Joel Anderson's logic, he is allowed to call me whatever he wants, but if I return the favor, I'm racist. Joel Anderson has a PhD in social justice, so I would expect him to know this. Woke has nothing to do with race. Being woke isn't about race, it's your ideology. It's your twisted and uninformed view of the world. I know nothing about Joel Anderson besides what I read about him for this story, but I would guarantee he believes that he's a victim. He believes that he has been held back by systemic racism. The white man has oppressed him. That damn oppressive white man that Joel Anderson works for. Slate was started by Michael Kinsley, white dude. It's now owned by Graham Holdings, a company owned by Donald Graham, another white dude. If Joel Anderson feels so strongly that all white people are racist, how come he is accepting their money? I don't see him complaining every 2 weeks when that check hits his bank account. If he really believed what he promotes, wouldn't he stand in his convictions? I mean, if I thought all white people were racist, I'm damn sure not going to go work for one. I would figure something else out. But people like Joel Anderson, they don't stand in their beliefs because they don't know what they believe. Their beliefs are constantly changing. One morning they wake up, the objective is feminism. By the afternoon, someone cuts them off in traffic, they're victims of racism. By the time dinner rolls around, they're so exhausted from being victimized all day, they fall asleep on their racist couch. That damn couch is so uncomfortable. I bet it's uncomfortable because a white man made it. There is no logic when it comes to being woke. Joel Anderson can't debate on ideas alone because the premise of social justice is flawed. It doesn't work. Anyway, enough of this dude. Let me know what you think about the term woke now being considered racist. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_btl84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.